Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Stash Project's Stash Report. This one for the 27th of August, 2014. We have quite a bit of new information for you guys. Much to my surprise, a couple weeks earlier than I thought it would be, we got the first wave of information from the All Japan Toy and Hobby Show. Now that is a industry show. It's actually only open to the industry for the first, I believe, 2 days, and the last day it's open to the public. Big thing. It's all our, remote control, boats, ships, planes, all the IPMS stuff, as well as automotive, and just all kind of everything that's toys and hobbies. It's sort of like iHobby, or we really don't have anything else other than iHobby anymore because all of the other trade shows in the United States seem to have gone away pretty much, other than maybe Wonderfest, which is not really a trade show as much as it is just a fantasy fest that has a trade show attached to it. At any rate, their information came out really well in advance. I don't believe we're going to get much more information. Tamiya announced one modified reissue that we're going to discuss, and that's it. But they did announce like a couple of new armor pieces, another large scale, 1/32 is large scale in that sense, airplane, so it's kind of iffy whether or not there's actually going to be any big budget blockbuster black box Fujimi or Tamiya kit this year. Last year the big thing was the LaFerrari. Kind of hoping they would do a Porsche 918 to replace the Carrera GT. As of yet, that's just a hope. There's not even any kind of word of it, of it coming. To me, a very closed-lipped when it comes to what they're doing in advance. There were only the domestic kits new this week from Revell. That's going to be your 67 Camaro, your 70 Ford Torino GT reissue, and the U.S. North American reboxing of the Revell of Germany LaFerrari. I don't have pictures for those. We're going to go a little out of order. We're going to leave the notebook of knowledge for the end this week because we're going to talk about the new stuff. We're going to cover this old stuff real quick. Or old stuff. Well, the reissue stuff is old. The new kits from Revell, your 67 Camaro, looks like the exact pile of disappointment in a box that everybody thought it would be. The body itself doesn't look too terribly bad, and I'm sure most of the other details within the kit are within the acceptable range. However, when you get to the second chrome runner that has the grill and the wheels on it, it is just an utter tragedy. The front grill is incorrect. Period, end of story. I don't care how anybody on any of the internet forums want to try to spin it, it's wrong. It's missing the inner trim piece, and the way that it's molded makes putting that inner trim piece on just a festival of annoyances. It's also chromed. The real one isn't, but this one's chromed for some reason. Because God forbid anybody go back and try to detail paint anything. Let's just make it stupid for everybody. Also, there are two sets of wheels, some Mini Light-esque wheels along with some Rally-esque Chevy wheels. And if you bought any Revell kits since I'd say the end of last year, or maybe even the end of 2011, or 2012 rather, when the 50 Oldsmobile came out, you noticed that all of the wheels that Revell has been doing new look like they should be mounted to the back of a riverboat because they have paddles on the back of them. Everybody calls them paddle wheels. These wheels on the 67 Camaro not only have paddles, but they have a giant ridge running around the entire circumference of the rim, making them completely and totally unusable for anything other than the tires that come with the kit. They really seem to be intentionally trying to dumb the bejesus out of the kits. I don't know if they think that Revell kits are already too complicated and they need to be simpler, or everybody's just getting lazy, but the wheels off of the 67 Camaro look very much like a die-cast car. And that's, the slab-sided issues that Revell has been having with their cars being die-cast-esque in the first place. Nothing about this kit is helping it. The road racing thing, aside from being just silly because you wouldn't road race a 396, you drag race that, is also just a roll cage, like a hoop for the an over hoop for the seats. There's no actual roll cage, and I believe there's an additional intake manifold, and those are your race options. Some decals and those mini light ISK wheels that they put in. So there's no headers, there's no race exhaust, there's no race seats. It's just some parts they chucked in there to call it a 2-in-1 when it's really more like a half a one. Your reissue of the 70 Ford Torino GT. Hey, there we talk about this. This is good because it's a 2000 kit and it has been driven to the ground by the current Revell management. Actually, allegedly, and now how well it's done because of the current people that run the joint, has had the seat and upholstery patterns fixed and a couple of body issues fixed. The original kit was inaccurate in both of those places, and allegedly it's been fixed. How ham-fisted it's been allegedly fixed, I don't know. I don't know anybody who has one yet, and I already have one of the old ones, and I'm not going to go buy a new one just to open it up and look at it. But allegedly it's fixed, buyer beware. The Revell of Germany LaFerrari, I've seen a few of them being built around on various forums, appears to be a really nice kit. Revell of Germany's kits, despite the fact that they're owned by Habaco now, still seem to be excelling in what they are, sort of a low-budget version of Tamiya. The kit will be, significantly cheaper in the U.S. reboxing than the actual Tamiya kit. You may recall in the past we've discussed how the Tamiya kit was only a couple bucks more than the Revell of Germany one. Well, that was because to get the Revell of Germany one prior to this month, you had to import a Revell of Germany kit to the United States, and you were going to pay a higher price for the overseas and then higher shipping to get it here. And so now the U.S. rebox will be here, but I can probably bet you dollars to donuts the body and the chassis plate and 3 or 4 other really critical parts will be warped beyond use. If you think I'm just being all down on Revell this week, just buy any Revell Ferrari kit in a small square box that's sold by Revell North America, and you're going to get something in it: the hood, the body, the chassis plate, the inner fender well. Something is going to be completely and totally warped beyond use. You're going to request new parts, and you're going to get more warped parts. They're well known for sending out repeatedly broken clear window pieces for the ZR1 hood for the 2010 ZR1. It is what it is. I'm still kind of interested in the 67 Camaro, but, it's really just annoying with me with those wheels. We've also seen sort of a hint of the 2013 ZL1, these new pre-painted kits online, and it's a fiasco of its own right. It's all curbside, except for the actual part that you're putting an engine in. The engine itself is only probably about 10 pieces, which really I don't think makes it worth buying. Both the front and rear axles are metal axles, like you're going to build, I don't know, a 1960s AMT Craftsman kit out of the thing. They really missed the boat on these. I assume the Challenger's the same way. I've heard a few people say that they found Challengers, the new SRT8 Challengers out too. They could have went the monogram route with these kits, pre-paint them, whatever. That's not the problem. And then, just make a monogram kit out of the rest of it. Make this, one-piece suspension that maybe attaches to your exhaust and your drive shaft, and then a one-piece front suspension, and then attach the tires, Remember, anybody who's old enough, and I'm 37, and so anybody who's like my age and older remembers the monogram things that had the snap fit wheels. They went on and never came back off again, and then 3 out of the 4 of them would actually rotate, kind of, sort of. They could have done that, and you wouldn't be dealing with these big metal axles. The reports are that the metal axle doesn't fit the front wheels on the Camaro. The wheels, the actual hole that it goes into on the back of the wheels are too big, and they don't fit. There are also no decals in the kit, at least the Camaro one. No dash decals, no engine decals, and remember, all of the stuff on that body is Tampo printed on there. So when you strip it, you're going to have to strip it because they didn't bother to sand any of the molding lines off before they pre-painted these things. So if you want to have it not look like a 5-year-old build it, then you're going to have to strip the body. When you strip the body, there go your decals, and you have no way to replace them. I realize that these kits are marketed at sort of the beginner glue level kit guy who's, a 10-year-old kid or really, really lazy adult. and it's sort of an accepted thing in Japan. You get a lot of Aoshima kits that are pre-painted, but the Aoshima kits also have their decals in them, and you could strip them and then repaint them, and then do what you need to do with them. Because for the most part, the Aoshima pre-painted kits are just versions of their kits. They have pre-painted BRZ and 86 kits are supposed to come out in September. Well, what? We've had those kits for almost a year now. If you haven't gotten one that isn't painted yet, then you're just going to buy one of the pre-painted ones. It's because you want a pre-painted kit. There's really no reason to strip one of those and repaint it, because you could just do that with any of the other kits that are available. So there's my Revell rant for the week, I guess. It's just very disappointing. They really missed the boat on marketing that kit across a number of platforms, where there could be a bunch of people my age, and younger, and my age and a little older, that would like a nice kit of a 2013 Camaro ZL1. The one from AMT is a curbside and a promotional model at that. It has no engine. This one has an engine, and then it sort of leads into the whole discussion of, could you put most of the chassis parts and interior parts out of a 2010 Camaro SS in there, and have that sort of function as a full kit? But now you're buying two kits, and you're kit bashing two kits together, and what are you going to do with the Challenger? You go kit bash that Challenger chassis in there, and the engine's not going to fit because it's not designed to fit into the glue chassis, and there wouldn't be any way to mount it, and it's just a fiasco and a debacle. They, could have easily kept the parts content down. There's only like 47 parts in this Camaro. Oh yeah, by the way, your interior is a tub. It doesn't build platform style. It does have separate door panels, I'll give them that, but it doesn't actually, there's no bottom and sides. I know a lot of people don't like the platform construction. They think it's die-cast like, because you get 3 levels of build to it, but it's sort of what's accepted now. Ever since AMT did the side panels that came completely off with their 66 Nova back in the 80s, that's just sort of the way we build models these days. But, so you need a whole new interior. Is the interior going to fit? Is the chassis going to fit? The only sort of good thing about this whole thing is that the black outline, the black trim on the windows are already painted for you. So at least, for the people that hate window trim, hey, go buy this and, I don't know, take those windows and stick them in the 2010 SS if you're building an actual model kit. Disappointed because I wanted one, and I'm not going to buy one now. I have absolutely no use for another roller toy model kit. I already got one from AMT. I don't need one from Revell too. Like I said, we'll go backwards here. So Fujimi, I announced last week, was going to be doing a reissue of 5 of their Initial D kits. Initial D being a comic in Japan, if you've never heard of it before. All of those kits came out a couple weeks early on Monday. They are going to be 2 Truno A86, one with a carbon fiber hood, which is a decal, by the way, in case you wondered. 2 of the FD3S RX-7s, which are going to be like your early 90s or late 90s RX-7 body style. I don't have any good photos of the kit art, so I'm just going to talk about them here real quick. One of them is one of them is a car from the beginning of the comic series. The other one's from the Project D TV comic series, and the difference between those two is that the Project D one has a really aggressive front splitter and back wing. There's also a Celica, which, if you remember from our discussion last week, is a combination of a Silvia and a 180SX parts-wise. You take the front end of the Silvia and you chuck it onto the back end of a 180SX, or the other way around. Either way works. But I believe the kit is a Silvia front end on a 180SX, and there's also a R32 GTR. All of these kits have been around for at least a decade, or if not longer. All of them are in stock at either HobbyLink Japan or Hobby Search. If you go to HobbyLink Japan, just search Fujimi Initial D in cars and bikes. And if you want to go to Hobby Search, they are the first thing in the restock column right now. Well, second thing. There's a bus restock from Fujimi this morning. So technically it's the second thing there. They're all there. They're all about $14, and they're all curbside. Remember, the only way to get an engine in a Truno is to buy it from Aoshima. Speaking of Aoshima, they've released 3 of their 20-some-odd August reissues, so it's going to be a really busy end of the month here, or stuff's just going to slide into September, one of the two. So real quick, I do have box art for these. You're going to get your Nismo Z-Tune R34 Skyline GTR, This is a different kit from the Tamiya Z-Tune. This one has a Nismo front bumper on it. Now, technically, Nismo did all of these Z-Tunes. They took some of the best R34s, took them back to the factory, stripped them down, and then turned them into these cars. But the bumper on this one is different from the bumper on the Tamiya kit. There's also another Aoshima Z-Tune that has the same bumper as the Tamiya kit. So, you know, when you're buying, you have to kind of watch what you're doing. But the other bumpered one isn't in production right now, and I don't think you can back order it. And so if you really like your GTRs and you like the idea of the Z-Tunes, here's another option for you from the Aoshima. This is a curbside. It does not have a engine in it. Well, neither does the Tamiya one, but there's also no upgrade kit. The Tamiya one, there's a photo etch set that floats around from time to time, which you kind of need because the brake detail doesn't exist on the Tamiya kit. But regardless of that, there's also sort of a difference in badging because you're getting a set of Nismo decals in this that you don't get in the Tamiya kit. It's a kit for the GTR Skyline aficionado. Let's put it that way. If you get the Tamiya kit, it's a better kit, better details. But if you want one with the Nismo front bumper and the Nismo decals, and I think the wheels might be different. I'd have to pull the actual Tamiya kit down and look at them. But anyway, it's an option out there. You might have saw flash real briefly there. They get another run of the Aventador. I think they probably ran this off when they ran the Roadster off last month. If you've not built an Aventador, either Fujimi's or Aoshima's, go with the Aoshima's. It's a much better kit. And the third one that they managed to get out is this reissue of the Best Car Vintage Celica LB2000 GT. I really like this body style Celica, but I really have to buy the 1600 one that Hasegawa makes because all of these Best Car Vintage, you may recall us discussing this in the past, are motorized, or well, formerly motorized. And by formerly motorized, I mean they still have the vast majority of the motorized parts. There's still a switch in the chassis. There's still a battery box. There's still a the rear axle still set up to accept a electric motor. None of those, the electric motor and all the electronics are gone, but I really wish they would go back with some of these Best Car Vintage GT kits and put real chassis in them. Or at least just change the chassis so they were not quite so awful. So, notebook of knowledge time. That's right, folks. You knew you were waiting on it. So what we have, like we've said at the very beginning of the video, is a whole bunch of information out of this All Japan Toy and Hobby show. We'll go real quick with the one-offs, and then we'll go into Aoshima because Aoshima's got a pile of stuff. From Tamiya in November, you're going to see a Subaru BRZ Street Custom. Now, what that means, I don't know because there are no pictures of it in existence, apparently. We really didn't know what they meant by Street Custom on the 1/12 scale Fairlady until that last hobby show that they did a couple months ago before the kit came out. So I don't know if we're going to see a picture of it beforehand or we're going to have to wait till the end of next month. Exactly what Tamiya, which is say what you will, is a very conservative company when it comes to doing kits. They don't go all buck wild and crazy with the tuner stuff. You have to go Fujimi and Aoshima for that. So it's kind of interesting to see, getting a couple more bucks out of this 86 BRZ tooling. Kind of interesting that it's only for the BRZ. I don't know if they have something else up there really for the 86, or maybe the BRZ sold better in the various export markets. It is probably, the Tamiya kit, generally speaking, is probably not quite as good as the Aoshima one in most aspects. There's nothing wrong with it, but it does sort of have a half-done feeling to it that you don't get out of most Tamiya kits, especially when you figure that the Aoshima kits that have the full 20-piece engines that are really well done. The engine bay of the Tamiya kits is kind of Spartan, and it really feels like these kits were rushed to market to sort of beat the Aoshima ones. But that being said, hey, it's a Tamiya kit, and it builds quite nicely. So, again, what the Street Custom is going to be, we don't know. There's also going to be a decal set for that is being marketed as carbon fiber. Now, maybe that's a carbon fiber hood, a carbon fiber roof, a carbon fiber wing. I don't know. We don't know what the parts are that are new in this Street Custom. You have to know what the decals were. The decal sheet's only going to be $5, so it can't be all that much of anything. Although I will say that the decal sheet for the LaFerrari that has like 90 some odd carbon fiber decal slivers on it was only like $14. So half as much decals, it'll work. From Hasegawa, a brand new tooling out of them. It's going to be a Nissan Sunny GB121 pickup truck. And unfortunately, I meant to do it before I got here, and I didn't. There's a photo of it floating around out. If you go on Wikipedia and look up Nissan Sunny and then go to the let's see, it would be the B110 section, and then search down to the bottom of the additional models. It'll show you. It's basically a 110 Nissan Datsun Sunny, which is like a little two-door economy car with the back half chopped off and a pickup truck put in there. It's not quite an El Camino by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a really neat vintage, because we're talking like back in, I'd have to say, I think it's a 70s car, but it's a really nice vintage Japanese pickup truck. Completely out of left field. Never heard anything about this. Of course, Hasegawa also very good at keeping their secrets, and that was the surprise of Monday when I was going through what had been put out there. Definitely going to sign up for one of those, because holy moly, is that a neat kit. Kind of interesting to see what they can do with that tooling variation wise, because these days nobody does anything with tooling that they can't put out several kits of over the course of its lifespan. So there may be, I don't know, a street custom sort of version of that at some point too. I apologize for the dryer buzzing. If you people can actually hear it, I'm not going to stop this video to look back through it, but we'll be done here in a second, so we apologize for the 3 buzzes. From both the BRZ and the Hasegawa are going to be out in November. Now, Aoshima has, it looks like about a dozen things here that are going to be coming out in October, November, December. So we'll start in October. October, you're going to get a police version of the TE Corolla. If you've been paying any attention to the releases, they've done like a GT and a DX version of this 4-door Corolla that's based off the best vintage car GT chassis. Now they're going to do a police version of it. Hey, why not? It's almost tempting enough to make me buy it, just because, it's a rinky-dink little 4-door car made into a police car. You're looking to get, some police parts there, because the police parts that they're showing out of this really old picture, like from the 70s picture, the rotator on top doesn't match anything they have currently made, and needs to be like a new grille done for it and some steel wheels. We'll find out probably next month exactly what's going to be in that. You're going to get a Type L version of the VG45 Toyota Century kit. The Toyota Century kit was just released not that long ago, probably in the last 4 months, as sort of a low-rider, or not low-ride, but a low-down kit with like I believe 18-inch wheels, sort of custom version of the Century. This is back to being factory stock, and the Type L was the last of them that they built on the old-style body from like 89 to 96. I'm really looking forward to this, because it's the one sort of kit that's missing out of my Toyota 4-door collection. I have a slew of Crowns and Crown Majestas and Lexuses and all sorts of interesting to me, boring to 95% of the rest of the population, Toyota kits, and this was sort of the one that it was always missing, because the factory stock version of it went for a small fortune on eBay, and you couldn't seem to find them anywhere else. The lowdown version wasn't expensive, but I didn't want that. I wanted a factory stock version. And lastly, in October, you're going to get 2 of the 2013 Toyota Crown Athletes. Told you were going to get an Athlete, and here I am to deliver. There'll be 2 versions of it. One's just be factory stock. One is going to be a 20-inch option wheel version. You may recall that's how Aoshima did the Crown Royal Saloon that they just put out a few months ago. This kit is, as we discussed a few weeks ago when we talked about it, completely new except for the chassis parts. So it's about 75% new kit, and new body, new interior, new wheels, new glass. Is curbside, as they all are, but it is more new than it is old. Pretty much everything south of the body is the same. It's going to carry the same chassis and suspension that it's always had, but it's going to have a completely new body and interior to it. Moving on to November, you're going to get 2 versions of the 430 Cedric in police trim. Now, you remember there already was one, but there's 2 more. One is going to be done under the, I'm going to butcher this, but I'm going to try it anyway, the Seibu Kaisatsu comic strip thing. Sort of a new kit for that line. If you go back and if you look it up, on Hobby Link Japan or Hobby Search, you see there's been a series of kits under the term The Machine, and that's what the Kisatsu line is about. I assume this is a police car for all of your bad guy cars that you've been looking for. They're also going to do what they're calling a stealth police version, which appears to be the 430 Cedric police car Tokyo version and the 430 GLE sedan merged together with a set of new wheels, because it's got like the up trim version with like a little rotator red Kojak light on top. Again, I'm not getting suckered in for more of these Cedric kits, because while they're nice kits, I just don't need any more of them. But it's sort of cool, just to see the way that Aoshima might just crank out variations of kits, and people will of course buy them. Also in November, you're going to get the second of the Lamborghini Murcielago RSV10 2010 kits. This one, the Zolder number 38, all Inkle.com engineering kit. You're also going to get a late edition Toyota Aristo V300. It says Vertex edition, but the picture they're showing online right now is a factory stock kit, or a factory stock car, I should say. There was, of course, a number of these. They're under the term JZS 161. There are a number of these 161 Aristos out there, and also became the UZS 161 when you made it into a Lexus kit. They were all sort of an early market car from the early 90s. This is the end of the production run. It's got, if it's actually done correctly, would have a new grill and headlights surround, some new wheels, perhaps a couple of interior upgrades. There weren't a whole heck of a lot of changes between the two, but the Japanese are very good for putting out very specific upgrades to their kits. Be interesting to see if it's going to be a Vertex, because Vertex, of course, is a tuner thing, or just a regular street car, and the Vertex is coming later, and somebody sort of messed up a little information there. And then December, you're going to get a bulk of your stuff here. In December, they're going to reissue all three of the Back to the Future DeLoreans for the one Back to the Future 2 and Back to the Future 3. You're going to get Z33 Fairlady Z, which is the 350Z here in the United States. These cars were JDM because they actually made and issued North America specific 350Z kits. So I don't know if this is going to have the left-hand drive in it or not. Some of the text I'm seeing, and this is sort of translated out of Japanese by a machine into English, say convertible. But the picture, again, is not a convertible. It's just a regular 350Z. So interested, again, to see if that's going to be a convertible or just a reissue of the 350Z. It's not showing as a reissue, so I believe the convertible information is correct. December also going to have a Mitsubishi Pajero XR2. Now, this is not the mini kit, mini, but not the mini version the Fujimi did that's like a real small two-door. This is sort of the intermediate two-door. It is a two-door, not a four-door, but there were like four sizes of Mitsubishi Pajeros, like a K car, a mini, which is the one that Fujimi did that's going to come out next month with the masking seals. Then this one that's sort of like the intermediate, and then there was like a full size that had a four-door car. Don't know why all of a sudden you need a mid-80s or mid-90s two-door SUV, but I'm sure there's a reason coming. There must be something they want to do, and this is the beginning of that foundation. Also in December, you're going to get the second of the McLaren GTR Longtails that have decals. This one's going to be the number 41 Loctite car. And lastly, in December, they're going to reissue the I'm going to butcher this one too. The Abuni Dika Minato 303 unmarked car. It's a Nissan Leopard two-door. That's a straight reissue. I'm not sure why it's out as like a new kit, unless it hasn't been out for a very long time. Although you can order it at Hobby Link Japan, so it can't have been gone for that long. So anyway, that's the information we have from Japan for the All Japan Toy and Hobby Show. We're still waiting on a number of Aoshima reissues. I'm not sure the AMT 67 Pro Street's out because I haven't been to a hobby shop this month. So we'll check in for that. We're still missing the Hasegawa Ford Focus Rally car, the Tamiya Street Custom GTR, and several Fujimi spot run, or several Fujimi kits, I should say, for those BMW Z4s that were supposed to come out. Those aren't out yet. So it should be a really busy last for what would be 4 business days of the month, because it's already Thursday in Japan by now, and nobody's going to be open on the weekends because it's the 4th weekend of the month and everybody's closed. So we hope you enjoyed the video. We hope we found all of that informative. We hope we didn't lose you halfway through bashing Revell into another oblivion. And if we still have you as a fan, tune in next Wednesday, as always, and we'll see you on the other side.